Birthday, happy birthday to you. Hi, I'm David Feldman, and this is the Mop Up. Before we start, little advice. Never agree to a weenus measuring contest in the middle of a below freezing blizzard. That's all I can tell you. Never, never agree to a weenus measuring contest if it's below freezing in the middle of a blizzard. Speaking of weenuses, during an interview with CBS News in Michigan on Wednesday, former Vice President Mike Pence refused to say whether he would vote for Donald Trump if Donald Trump is the GOP nominee in 2024. Pence refused to say whether he himself is running for president. Pence also refused to say anything bad about Donald Trump. He refused to say whether Trump instigated the insurrection that prompted hundreds of supporters to storm the Capitol and try to hang him. Pence is also refusing to say anything to the special counsel looking into Donald Trump because he refuses to say, this is the kind of leadership America's craving. A man who means what he doesn't say and doesn't say what he doesn't mean. He doesn't say. In a newly released sworn testimony, Rupert Murdoch, the chairman of Fox, admitted under oath that he knew Fox News hosts were spreading lies about the 2020 election results. Murdoch, under oath, said he did have the power to stop the lies, but he chose not to. In court filings for the $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit filed by Dominion Voting Systems, it's been revealed that Fox News anchors and executives all knew Donald Trump lost in 2020. And a new memo released this week reveals they didn't want to piss off their viewers. That's why they kept telling the lie. They didn't want to piss off Fox viewers because you don't want to piss off Fox News viewers. They might do something insane, like, storm the Capitol. That's all Fox News does, is piss off its viewers. You see, but Fox News doesn't want their viewers pissed off at Fox News. The viewers wanted to be told that Trump won, so Fox told them what they wanted to hear. Because Rupert Murdoch has always been fine with the lies. He's never had a problem with the lies. Here he is out on the town with his latest fiancée, George Santos. She'll be replacing Jerry Hall, the beautiful George Santos. They make a great couple. Yeah. Governor Ron DeSantis, let's go full screen here on this. I'm in a bad mood. Ron DeSantis, let me just look at that for 1 second. Yeah, Ron DeSantis has written a new book. And because it's for DeSantis voters, that means it's written for third graders, which is why Ron DeSantis stopped by Tampa Bay Public Library this afternoon to do a book signing and reading of his book for Drag Queen Story Hour. Well, let's talk about his book because it's doing really well. Congratulations. It's a #1 bestseller. People are buying the book. They can't read it, but they're buying the book. So the title of Ron's book is The Courage to Be Free, Florida's Blueprint for America's Survival. Florida's Blueprint for America's Survival. Because whenever anybody hears about Florida, the first thing we all think is, if only the person in charge could give us the recipe for Florida's secret sauce. How can the rest of America be more like Florida? How can my state have alligators strung out on bath salts, drive an ice cream truck into a white pride parade? How can we be more like Ron DeSantis, his great state of Florida? Give us the blueprint for America's survival, Ron DeSantis. Well, his book is being marketed to different parts of the country. So in South Carolina, his book is entitled The Courage to Be Free to Say What You're Really Thinking. And that's a picture, I believe, of the governor wearing a white hood over his head. Not quite sure why Ron DeSantis would have a white hood over his head. Is that a bondage thing? That makes no sense to me, no sense whatsoever. And in Texas, his book is being sold with the title, The Courage to Be Free Labor Inside Our State Prison System. The Courage to Be Free Labor Inside Our State Prison System. I see, because he's running in Texas, and Texas loves free labor inside their Texas prisons. Free labor in Texas. Their prisoners don't get paid. Texas has prisoners, I'm not making this up, who are literally picking cotton for free. And I can't put my finger on it, but it reminds me of something. I forget. People not being paid to pick cotton. I forget. It reminds me of something. It reminds me of something that Ron DeSantis doesn't want taught in our public schools. So it seems to have slipped my mind. People not being paid to pick cotton. That's what's going on in Texas. This is the book Ron will be hawking at CPAC this week. CPAC is meeting this week. The book is entitled The Courage to Be Free from Blacks, Hispanics, and the LGBTQ. Well, I don't know how that's going to sell at CPAC. Matt Schlapp, the head of CPAC, I think he'd be okay with all of that except the LGBTQ part. I'm not making this up, and you have Google, you have internet literacy. Look this up. CPAC, Matt Schlapp's CPAC meets this week, March 1 through 4 in Washington, D.C. Google this. They are meeting. Matt Schlapp's CPAC is meeting at the Gaylord National Harbor. That's where it's being held, in Washington, D.C., at Gaylord National Harbor. Gaylord National Harbor. Gaylord. I don't know why that feels odd that Matt Schlapp would hold this year's CPAC meeting in a place called Gaylord National Harbor. Google it. It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, The Courage to Be Free, that is the name of Ron DeSantis' book. And people like him love courage. They do. He's a Southern governor, and his book is entitled The Courage to Be Free. Other Southern governors also had the word courage in their book. George Wallace, when he was running for president in 64, 68, his book in 64 was entitled It Takes Courage. Wallace has it. To you, that's the name of his book, Courage. And Ron DeSantis is all about courage. George Wallace says it took courage, and Ron DeSantis says it takes courage, to kick people when they're down. It takes a lot of courage to kick people when they're down, and that's what George Wallace did, and it's what Ron DeSantis is doing. Ron DeSantis. And I will keep reminding you that he was a JAG officer. He did not see any action in Iraq. He was a JAG officer. The only action he saw was when he was looking the other way at Gitmo while they were torturing the inmates. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has been calling DeSantis Meatball Ron. This is true. Donald Trump has been calling Ron DeSantis Meatball Ron, but announced that he would find a new nickname. He said he's no longer going to call Ron DeSantis Meatball Ron. Some say it's because Meatball Ron is offensive to Italians. I, on the other hand, think Meatball Ron is offensive to meatballs. I think, why besmirch the good name of meatballs? by associating them with Ron DeSantis. Donald Trump, by the way, will speak at CPAC at the end of this week, where he will be joined by Matt Schlapp, the head of CPAC, and his lovely wife, Mercedes Schlapp. Mercedes Schlapp and Matt Schlapp. These two are known as conservative Washington's favorite power couple, but one of them is known as Washington's favorite power bottom. It's March, so groundskeepers at Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, are putting fresh dirt on top of Ivana Trump's grave. This is an actual photograph of fresh dirt on top of Ivana Trump's grave at the Bedminster Golf Club that Donald Trump owns. Who buries their wife at their at their golf club? If you remember, Donald Trump had Ivana, his ex-wife, buried at his favorite golf course so he could cheat on her, literally, right? We all know that he cheats at golf, and this way he buries her, on the third hole, and he can literally stand on top of Ivana and literally cheat on her. Maybe he can bring Marla Maples out to Bedminster for a round, and for old time's sake, they can cheat on Ivana together. Again, like old time's sake. Like, that's the least crazy thing about Donald Trump, that he buried his wife at his golf course. Oh, my God. Well, speaking of nasty divorces, Marjorie Taylor Greene says it's time America was divorced, in her case from reality. Marjorie Taylor Greene said the blue states and the red states should go their separate ways. Now, her constituents in Georgia should be all in on that, because we know how well that worked out for Atlanta the last time we tried something like this. I believe Atlanta ended up burning worse than that tantric sex guru's urine right after he and Marjorie bumped uglies in a strip mall against a dumpster behind a Gold's Gym. Allegedly, his urine was burning like Atlanta after bumping uglies with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Allegedly. We make fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she is a devout Christian, and she calls herself a Christian nationalist. So she's being persecuted because she's a Christian nationalist. The Daily Mail in the UK has been printing stories about Marjorie Taylor Greene's love life, and these are all lies. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I just want to show these articles as an example of the kind of persecution that good Christian nationalists like Marjorie Taylor Greene are going through. Just because of her strongly held religious beliefs, the Daily Mail is coming for her. Marjorie Taylor Greene says we're a Christian nation, and just because of that, look at the rubbish the Daily Mail is printing about poor Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is what good Christians like Marjorie Taylor Greene are up against. And I'm bringing this up because I think Marjorie should sue. She should sue in Great Britain, because that's where the Daily Mail is headquartered. And Great Britain has much more lenient laws. It's much easier to sue for defamation in Great Britain. And I really think Marjorie Taylor Greene should sue the Daily Mail for printing this 2 years ago. And I just got around to bringing this up. I didn't have time, but it's a pack of lies. They say Marjorie Taylor Greene, they say these are lies. They say she cheated openly on her husband of 25 years. She's had 3 kids with her husband. She's a good Christian. Why would she cheat on her husband? They say she cheated. She's got to sue the Daily Mail. This has been on their website for 2 years. And she has a pretty good lawyer. I'll tell you about him in a second. She should sue the Daily Mail. They say that she cheated openly with a polyamorous tantric sex guru, and then she dumped him for the manager at her gym. These are lies, Marjorie, and you need to sue the Daily Mail for reporting this. It's been up on their website for 2 years now. I've been meaning to bring this up because it sickens me to think that they can get away with these lies. And Marjorie Taylor Greene told the Daily Mail it was all lies. And she added, and they did print this in the story, she added that it was part of a conspiracy to smear her name because she's America's biggest threat to the socialist agenda. And that's true. That is what the Daily Mail, which is Keir Starmer, Jeremy Corbyn, the Daily Mail hates people who are right-wing. Anybody knows anything about the Daily Mail, they're part of the socialist agenda. And they lie on behalf of lefties. If you know anything about the Daily Mail, they just tell lies to further the socialist agenda. And it's a lie, and Marjorie should sue the Daily Mail. This is still up on their website for 2 years. I mean, look how happy she is with her husband. Don't they look happily married? They're happily married because they're good Christians who believe marriage is between a man and a woman, and maybe occasionally a polyamorous sex guru or a gym manager, but they're happily married, and she should sue oh, wait. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. It says her husband filed for divorce last year, and then around Christmas time, their divorce went through. Well, she should sue the Daily Mail because this story came out 2 years ago, and it ended up ruining her marriage. This is a lawsuit, Marjorie. They destroyed your marriage because you're a good Christian. This is a lawsuit. Let me go back to the story in the Daily Mail. 2 years ago, the Daily Mail reported that Marjorie Taylor Greene had an affair with this guy, polyamorous tantric sex guru, Craig Ivey. How can this be true? This is a lie. This is an absolute pure and simple, and she should sue. Do you believe, look at this picture. Do you think that a United States Congresswoman like Marjorie Taylor Greene would have sex with this guy? We're talking about the same Republican Congresswoman, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, who claimed yesterday during hearings that Joe Biden is personally responsible for the fentanyl deaths of 2 young men who died in 2020 when Donald Trump was president. That would be reckless for Marjorie Taylor Greene to cheat on her husband and sleep with this guy. And the last thing Marjorie Taylor Greene is reckless. She's just not a reckless person. This is, according to the Daily Mail, and I'm sorry that I have to show this to you, but I'm just making a case for the lawsuit that Marjorie Taylor Greene, she should sue the Daily Mail. According to the Daily Mail, they put this picture up. This has to be a lie. This is Craig Ivey, the tantric warrior. He allegedly teaches tantric love. Now, what is tantric love? From what I understand, it's sex, but without any climaxing. In other words, he's on antidepressants. But come on, he's not having tantric. No woman, at least, is having tantric sex with him. Impossible to have tantric sex with this guy. I mean, the minute he looks into your eyes, you're going to explode. You can't hold back. It's impossible. This story, that's why I say she has to sue the Daily Mail. It makes absolutely no sense. And Marjorie Taylor Greene should sue because the Daily Mail is attacking her reputation, a reputation she needs to uphold. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is the same woman who screamed at David Hogg, one of the survivors of the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Florida. He was testifying, so she ran up to him in Washington, D.C., accused him of being a liar. He was, I think he was 18 at the time, 17. He had just survived Stoneman Douglas High School's shooting, and she said that mass slaughter was staged. And a woman with that much integrity would never cheat on her husband, at least not with this guy. mean, she's part of the House leadership now. She's on all the committees, right? Kevin McCarthy loves her. So this is a woman's reputation that the Daily Mail is tarnishing. Here's another picture of her alleged lover. This is, again, from the Daily Mail 2 years ago. I want you to think for a second how ridiculous this is. What a slam dunk of a defamation lawsuit Marjorie has. I want you to think of Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Christian nationalist, a mother of three. Does she seem like the kind of woman who would abandon her family for this guy? It makes no sense. We're talking about an astrophysicist who studies Jewish space lasers and the role they play in sparking forest fires. She doesn't have time to ruin her reputation with a guy like that. This is a lawsuit. And, well, okay, I'm getting a little more information. I'm looking at this Daily Mail story, and it turns out, I don't know what this means. This is all very confusing to me. There's this guy, Jim Fergie Chambers, and it says that he is the grandson of the richest woman in Georgia, and he owned several gyms in 2012, and Marjorie Taylor Greene worked at the gym. At one time, he was her boss, and when the Daily Mail story came out, Marjorie was running for Congress in 2020, and so he tweeted this, and I don't understand what this means. So when you worked for me, Marjorie Taylor Greene, he's addressing her. So when you worked for me at CrossFit Alpharetta, that was the name of his gym. When you worked for me at CrossFit Alpharetta in 2012, the extramarital affairs you had with Justin and Craig, those were just Jesus approved, right? That's what he wrote. So what is that? So he's covering for her, right? He's saying her extramarital affairs were Jesus approved, right? So I didn't know that. But apparently, you can get your extramarital affairs approved by Jesus, unless he's being sarcastic. I'm bad with sarcasm. I think I'm a little slow. I think this is sarcasm. I see that it's sarcasm in my notes because he added after that tweet, quote, "I would never choose to dock someone's infidelities unless they're Marjorie Taylor Greene." And then he linked to her campaign website. So it wasn't sarcasm. I would sue this guy too, Marjorie. I would sue him, I'd sue the Daily Mail, and I'd sue Jesus, because this is character defamation. Jesus should have approved your extramarital affairs that you never had. You should sue Jesus. I don't know why people are going after this poor woman, the Daily Mail, and this is from the New Yorker. I hate to bring this up. I mean, it's just terrible, but it's an example of how a good Christian woman who goes to Washington, D.C., they just pile on her for being a good Christian woman. This is from the New Yorker. This is from 2 years ago, and I'll read you this part here. It says Chambers, that was the guy whose tweet I just read, Chambers got on social media and told the world that back when he knew Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was having, quote, multiple blatant extramarital affairs in front of all of us, unquote. He added, "I don't even judge that until you say the kind of shit she does and claim the Jesus about it." Greene, who was baptized at an evangelical church in a suburb just north of Atlanta in 2011 and speaks frequently about being Christian, has said that she wants to bring, quote, "my faith and my family values to Washington." She wants to bring her faith and her family values. Well, she's not bringing her family. The husband filed for divorce. This is, cosmopolitan New Yorker, the New Yorker, just trying to humiliate a good Christian woman. Let's read this because I think she should sue the New Yorker. The woman who wrote the article goes on to write, I spoke to one of the men with whom Green allegedly had an affair. So the New Yorker had to interview one of the men she allegedly had an affair with. Okay. He asked not to be named and told me that he too was bothered by Green's hypocrisy. He provided me with a screenshot of a text exchange in which Green acknowledged sleeping with him. Quote, she never talked about politics, he said. He told me he later learned that she was also sleeping with another man who was not her husband, quote, while the whole time being super Christian. He added, quote, she's not the pro-family, pro-Christian, strong businesswoman she touts herself to be. You have to sue these people. They are piling on this poor Christian woman. Let me read on. This is an example of what they do to a strong Christian woman who gets elected and goes to Congress. This is the politics of personal destruction from the New Yorker. You've got to sue. You got to sue. When I asked Green, this is from the New Yorker, when I asked Green about the alleged affair, she replied by texting me a series of screenshots from Chambers' social media account. Chambers was the gym owner who called her out on the two guys she slept with, and including a photo of the sign he put up on his gym. Green texted, quote, let me be clear with you. This is what she warned the reporter from the New Yorker. Let me be clear with you. Writing defamatory articles about me is a very bad choice. Be very wise in who your sources are. She also directed me to her attorney, L. Lynn Wood. She's got L. Lynn Wood as her attorney. Why are you not suing the New Yorker and the Daily Mail and Jesus for defamation of your character? This is her attorney. He's a famous attorney. This is L. Lynn Wood. I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, the L in L. Lynn Wood stands for nut job. That's what I've been told. The L stands for, you would think it would be lunatic, but it's not. It stands for nut job. That is L. Lynn Wood, her attorney. No, this is L. Lynn Wood. I'm sorry. That was a mistake, and I should be sued for that. L. Lynn Wood, in case you don't remember, he is a well-respected attorney, and he specializes in defamation, and he's Marjorie Taylor Greene's attorney. Well, he was in 2020 when she was running for office, and apparently he still is her attorney. And here you see in this picture, he's got the MAGA hat on, and in his left hand, he's holding a Holy Bible. And it's not just any Bible. This is Donald Trump's personal Holy Bible. You can tell it's Donald Trump's because this Bible's printed on human skin. And he is Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal attorney, as well as one of Donald Trump's attorneys. So you do not want to get sued by L. Lynn Wood. And I think Marjorie Taylor Greene should call L. Lynn Wood right now and sue the Daily Mail, sue the New Yorker, sue me, sue my listeners right now for even thinking that a good Christian nationalist like Marjorie Taylor Greene would even think of committing adultery. She is a well-respected member of Congress, and she's part of the leadership now. Kevin McCarthy relies on her. You've got to sue all these people and shut them up. She's all about election integrity. And I don't know if you saw her speak yesterday during a House panel on election integrity. She's a great woman. She went after a real crackpot, this guy Gabriel Sterling. I don't know if you remember Gabriel Sterling. Reckless with the facts. He's a Republican in name only. He's a rhino. He's a Georgia Republican. And on December 1st, 2020, he held this big press conference in Georgia and warned, oh, Donald Trump and Rudy, they're claiming the election in Georgia was stolen and there's going to be violence. How dare he talk that way? How dare Gabriel Sterling? He's a Georgia election official. First of all, accuse the president in December of 2020 of trying to stir up violence. Out of line. And there should be consequences for politicians like this. I'm going to play you because Marjorie really let him have it this week. He finally got his comeuppance. There is justice because people like Marjorie Taylor Greene have been sent to Washington. I want to play Gabe Sterling. Some of you might remember this. This is him overreacting, being a drama queen, bad-mouthing the president. This is December 1st, 2020. Gabe Sterling, Georgia Republican, attacking our president, Donald Trump. Here he is.
I'm going to do my best to keep it together because it has all gone too far. All of it. Joe DeGenova today asked for Chris Krebs, a patriot who ran CISA, to be shot. A 20-something tech in Gwinnett County today has death threats and a noose put out saying he should be hung for treason because he was transferring a report on batches from an EMS to a county computer so he could read it. It has to stop. Mr. President, you have not condemned these actions or this language. Senators, you have not condemned this language or these actions. This has to stop. We need you to step up, and if you're going to take a position of leadership, show some. My boss, Secretary Raffensperger, his address is out there. They have people doing caravans in front of their house. They've had people come onto their property. Tricia, his wife of 40 years, is getting sexualized threats through her cell phone. It has to stop. This is elections. This is the backbone of democracy, and all of you who have not said a damn word are complicit in this. It's too much. Yes, fight for every legal vote. Go through your due process. We encourage you, use your First Amendment. That's fine. Death threats, physical threats, intimidation. It's too much. It's not right. They've lost the moral high ground to claim that it is. I don't have all the best words to do this because I'm angry. And the straw that broke the camel's back today is, again, this 20-year-old contractor for a voting system company just trying to do his job. Just there. In fact, I talked to Dominion today and I said he's one of the better ones they got. His family's getting harassed now. There's a noose out there with his name on it. And it's not right. I've got police protection outside my house. Fine. You know, I took a higher profile job. I get it. Secretary ran for office. His wife knew that too. This kid took a job. He just took a job. And it's just wrong. I can't begin to explain the level of anger I have right now over this. And every American, every Georgian, Republican and Democrat alike should have that same level of anger. Mr. President, it looks like you likely lost the state of Georgia.
Sue him.
We're investigating. There's always a possibility. I get it. And you have the
Sue
rights to
this
go to
man.
the courts. What you don't have the ability to do, and you need to step up and say this, is stop inspiring people to commit potential acts of violence. Someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get shot. Someone's going to get killed. And it's not right. It's not right.
How dare
And
he?
y'all, I don't have anything scripted. This is,
How dare you?
like I said, I'm going to do my best to keep it together.
Well, you're not doing a
All
good
this is
job.
wrong. DeGenova, who said for Chris Krebs to get shot, is a former U.S. attorney. He knows better.
This is Gabe Sterling, December 1st, 2020, saying that the President of the United States is stirring up his supporters and somebody's going to get hurt, somebody's going to get shot. He should be sued for talking about the President of the United States this way. How dare he besmirch the reputation of our president? He wraps up with this. I'm playing this. I hope your kids can't hear this. A little more.
Mr. President, as the Secretary said yesterday, people aren't giving you the best advice on what's actually going on the ground. It's time to look forward. If you want to run for re-election in 4 years, fine, do it. But everything we're seeing right now, there's not a path. Be the bigger man here and step in. Tell your supporters, don't be violent. Don't intimidate.
How dare
All
you.
that's wrong. It's un-American.
How dare you accuse Trump supporters of being violent and intimidating election officials? There has to be a price that people pay. When you go on record the way this Gabe Sterling did, the Georgia election official, he's a Republican, right? In December of 2020, he's saying, oh, the President of the United States, he's stirring up violence. There has to be a price that people pay for the words they use. He said that on December 1st, 2020, and there was no violence. There was a peaceful transition, right? Donald Trump showed up at the inauguration for Joe Biden. It was, once again, America had a peaceful transition. And this guy, Gabe Sterling, for more than 2 years now, hasn't paid a price for besmirching not just the reputation of Donald Trump, but the 70 some odd million people who supported him. These are peace-loving Americans. He needs, and he has not apologized, but yesterday, Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia, she let him have it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she sits on the House panel on election integrity. And I'm going to play you this, and this is why we love Marjorie Taylor Greene. Here she is having this poser. Here she is sticking it to this poser.
Now, that complaint got largely ignored. No one listened. We reported in the news. We reported it to the Secretary of State's office, reported it constantly, and no one gave a shit about what happened to him. But guess what? It wasn't just him. There were many, many people that reported the same issue, not just in Floyd County, but all over the state. And I want to tell you something else. For you to say there were no dead voters in Georgia, there was thousands of dead voters in Georgia. And then the other thing is you have constantly shilled for this election, and I'm going to tell you, there was blatant outright fraud in the 2020 election, complete and total fraud, and you know it. You absolutely do know it. And I'm going to follow up with one more thing. Trump won Georgia. I know you don't like for me to say that, but I am convinced that he did. I'm born and raised in Georgia, lived there all my life, campaigned all over the state in the 2020 election. And to come in here for the Election Integrity Caucus and for you to be on the panel, it's actually insulting to election integrity because I think you did a horrific job for the state of Georgia. And I can't believe that our tax dollars have to pay you to run our election system. You were formerly a Georgia state employee, and then you got to be a contractor during the election. Well, I think that was that. I don't know why that happened, and no one else got picked, but somehow we ended up with you. But there were massive problems in the recount in Floyd County. They recovered over, I think it was over 2,000 votes for Trump in the hand recount. Floyd County is a tiny little county. Teeny tiny little county. To recover over 2,000 votes for Trump in a hand recount is outrageous. And then we have the whole catastrophe of suitcases coming out from under the table, videos of them re-scanning stacks of ballots.
Yeah, see, that was all from Fox News. I heard that on Fox News, the ballots being thrown out and Biden ballots being re-scanned, and she let this poser have it. Good for you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You should sue him as well. You should call L. Lynn Wood, your attorney, and Donald Trump's attorney, and you should sue And you know, I try to get in touch with L. Lynn Wood for you. And Forbes, which writes the hagiography for capitalism, it's a Republican magazine. Forbes magazine, a headline, pro-Trump attorney. I'm having trouble contacting L. Lynn Wood. Pro-Trump attorney Lynn Wood could lose license as Georgia bar asks for mental health evaluation. I'm trying to find L. Lynn Wood for Marjorie Taylor Greene because this is her attorney. And apparently the Georgia Bar Association wants him to do a mental health evaluation. This just doesn't seem. More from Forbes. Let me go full screen here. The Georgia State Bar is moving forward with proceedings. This is from last year against attorney L. Lynn Wood that could result in him losing his legal license due to mental illness or cognitive impairment, an official confirmed to Forbes Friday, as the far-right lawyer faces consequences for pushing conspiracy theories and alleging election fraud in a post-election attempt to overturn President Joe Biden's win. That would be Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal attorney. That when the New Yorker printed those stories about her extramarital affair, she said, I want you to know my attorney is L. Lynn Wood. And again, accusing him, like this is the conspiracy. If you're QAnon talks about the Bar Association is in on it. They're accusing him of cognitive impairment and mental illness. This is all part of the conspiracy to steal the election for Joe Biden. This is another article from Forbes about L. Lynn Wood. Forbes magazine writes, the Georgia Bar's proceedings are the latest consequence Wood has faced for his post-election actions. The attorney has been removed from a separate case in Delaware where he represented former Trump advisor Carter Page over his quote-unquote toxic post-election litigation. So I guess they felt his lawyering was toxic. Nicholas Sandmann, an 18-year-old from Covington Catholic High School, remember him? He gained attention for his viral standoff with a Native American elder. Well, he also fired Wood as his attorney on Tuesday. MSNBC host Joy Reid has asked a New York federal court to remove Wood from a defamation case against her, and Mercer Law School is facing pressure to remove Wood's name from a courtroom at the school. Dominion Voting Systems, which has already filed two $1.3 billion lawsuits, I think it's 1.6 actually, two $1.3 billion lawsuits against attorneys Powell and Rudy Giuliani, has suggested it may pursue litigation against Wood for spreading baseless election fraud claims involving the company's voting machines, though none has been filed yet, although I don't know because this is from a year ago. But, Marjorie Taylor Greene should sue L. Lynn Wood. She should call L. Lynn Wood, her attorney, sue the New Yorker, sue the Daily Mail, sue Jesus, and have L. Lynn Wood sue. She should have L. Lynn Wood sue L. Lynn Wood. And more importantly, she should have L. Lynn Wood sue Rupert Murdoch from Fox News. Because Rupert Murdoch, we now know, testified under oath that all the election denying that was going on over at Fox News, all the reports of ballots being thrown out, Biden votes being rescanned, all the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene brought up in that clip I played of her screaming at Sterling. Rupert Murdoch, the head of Fox News, testified under oath that that was all a big lie. It was all lies. And we know from the testimony that Laura Ingraham Tucker Carlson, and Sean Hannity knew it was all lies. And Rupert Murdoch testified under oath that everything Marjorie Taylor Greene said yesterday to that guy Sterling, it's all lies. She should sue Rupert Murdoch because he's calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a liar. You need to sue Rupert Murdoch, Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's calling you a liar. I'm David Feldman, and if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. Happy birthday, Leslie, and please subscribe to this channel. I have no corporate underwriting. I'm not part of any network, so the only way you can help me is by sharing this. The only reason you're hearing this is because your friend shared this with you. So please copy and paste the link to this show and share it with friends. That's the best way to help me. Go to David Feldman Show if you have time and sign up for my newsletter. I'm David Feldman reminding you to stay strong and protect the weak.